Hello, my friend. Cheers and welcome to today's edition of Coffee with Kelly, where we're covering all things Christmas food fight, but hopefully avoiding those food fights because nobody likes fighting about food at Christmas. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's true. It can be hard when our relatives are stuffing our kids full of candy we don't want them to have, or maybe our kids are having a hard time sitting through the meal, or maybe our kids aren't eating any of that meal that your aunt or your mother or you or your uncle, whoever, spent hours and hours and hours preparing. We're gonna cover it all. How to find a little bit of sanity in your Christmas feast this year. So grab your cup of joe and we'll get right to it. Okay, and our first question came in via email from Sunshine, and she asks, how do I avoid that the family stuff my kids with candy when they know that we have rules and limits for candy intake? Geez, grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and cousins, they can really do this a lot, right? And I say that, I know it's a serious question, Sunshine. I'm not trying to bring down the seriousness of it at all, but it's true. Like, it is, holiday time is like a feast for all things junk food, and it can be really hard when you do have strict limits and boundaries that differ from that of the other family members. So in answering your question, I guess my first question to you, I know, again, it's annoying when I answer your question with a question first, but how flexible are you? Because is this a serious dietary issue? And I know that it is for a lot of people. Like, sugar intake, I know for a lot of us, we just kind of joke about it. We joke about our kids having too much sugar and going haywire. But for some kids, like, this is a serious issue. Like, this is the real deal, needs to be managed, or else, like, everyone is paying the price, especially the child, if it's causing them indigestion or issues or whatever it may be. So that would be my first question, is how flexible are you? Is this a serious dietary concern? Or is this something that you could maybe let up on a little bit for the holidays? And if it is a really serious concern, if you have set limits, set boundaries, there really isn't a lot of wiggle room, I would just be really upfront and open and honest with your family ahead of time, letting them know that, okay, you know what, I know you really love making that marshmallow casserole, or I really know, like, your butter tarts are off the hook. Does anyone even say that anymore? Probably not. I'm totally aging myself. But little Danny or Matthew or whoever, he can't have them because XYZ. I think sometimes we can have expectations that everyone is just gonna fall in line with the way we want to do things without really explaining the reasoning behind it. And that's where a lot of miscommunication can come in. So I would just sit down, be really straightforward, be really open and honest about what's going on, and be really clear about where that boundary is, and that you would really appreciate their help in not necessarily enforcing it, but keeping everything in check for the kids. Because just like if your kids had a peanut allergy or a wheat allergy or any other kind of dietary concern, just because sugar is popular at this time of year, it really doesn't change things for you and your family, right? So as with all things, I think there's a way to do it and a way to not do it, but just sitting down, being open, talking about the reasoning behind it, and then trying to win their cooperation. So not something that you're kind of putting up the dukes, so to speak, but really enlisting their help, asking for their help, because it always feels so much better to know that someone is requesting your assistance rather than making a demand. So I would just try to think of it that way. And then if it is something where it's like, you know what, you'd prefer your kids didn't have 27 pieces of cake or didn't have like a whole entire bowl of Hershey's Kisses, but it's not gonna like really hurt anything, I would just try to lean back a little bit, because sometimes those are the things that Christmas memories are made of. And sure, yeah, they may get a little bit haywire and they may go a little bit nutso, but for a lot of kids, well, and adults too, like, we don't always get to see our family all the time, and sometimes it's extra exciting, and sometimes that's the stuff that our kids will remember when they get older, sneaking all those extra gumdrops or hiding away or sampling that pumpkin pie when nobody's looking. So I guess it all depends. It all depends on where the line is for you. If it's a really firm, hard and fast line, communicate that ahead of time, thinking of enlisting their help in enforcing those boundaries versus kind of making demands and limitations of them and how they provide treats and sweets for your kids. And if it's something that you just like would prefer but you're okay with, I would just try to just step back, right? Step back as much as you can. It may be a little bit uncomfortable, but hey, it's Christmas. It's Christmas. And our next few questions come from a class of high school students in Clarksdale, Mississippi, Coahoma County High School, their child development class. They submitted some questions, so I'm going to answer a few of those now because they had some really great questions that I know I've had to deal with before, so I'm sure a lot of you have had to deal with as well. And our first one comes from Martiana, and she asks, what should I do if my child doesn't want to eat my Thanksgiving food and eats oranges instead? Woohoo, the old doesn't want to eat what's being served deal. And man, oh man, have I ever been there. And the first thing with this, again, I think is checking our own expectations and checking how we think things should. I know that magical, I call it the other S word, should, how we think things should be. Because have they been snacking all day? Have they been eating other appetizer type foods all day? Are they just busy playing with their cousins and friends they haven't seen in ages? Just kind of judging things that way, because I think sometimes we can put a lot of pressure on that meal, but it's also important to recognize that we have different priorities of what our Christmas looks like. We think it should look one way, Grandma thinks it should look one way, and our kids have a totally other idea of what it should look like. So keep those expectations in check and just notice where you are. And the other important thing I think too when it comes to, well, just any kind of food issue in general, but especially at special holiday meals, is to try our best. And I say try our best because I know it's hard when, again, our expectations of what the meals should be are different from that of our kids. But to try not obsess or micromanage, because as soon as we start trying to manage and like negotiate how many bites are eaten and you can have this after you have that, like it can get to be a lot. So if you, again, just pay attention, and this is something that's so personal, and if anyone ever told you you were nagging or pestering your kids, it would probably be pretty annoying, right? So just notice that. You don't need anybody else telling you that. Just notice for yourself if you see you're starting to pester or really nag your kids when it comes to food, because that is just inviting like the power struggle of all power struggles, and you do not need that at the Christmas dinner table. So instead, just try to focus on filling your kids' plates with some kid-friendly options, lots of finger foods, dips. I say kid-friendly, but that means different things to all kinds of different people. And like, I don't know, if they just want to fill up on bread, like my aunt makes really awesome rolls, and I would happily just eat only all of her rolls and nothing else. So I don't know, maybe that's something that we need to just pull back on a little bit as well, as the expectations of what food items our kids should eat. Because the thing is, like, just because our kids don't eat the family recipe Brussels sprouts, that doesn't mean they don't love grandma, right? It just means they don't feel like eating Brussels sprouts that day. So sometimes I think we just need to chillax a little bit when it comes to Christmas meal time. Which also, I guess, brings me to another point, is that Christmas time, it can be really tricky to try to avoid taking on other people's issues, especially when it comes to food, and taking on other people's expectations of, again, that magical S word, how things should be. So that's sometimes where we just kind of need to find our inner Zen moment, if maybe an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a grandma or grandpa or whoever has their own ideas of how children should behave or what they should eat. And just try not to take that on for ourselves, keeping that boundary there. It's okay for them to have their issues. They can have them. We got enough of our own, right? We got enough of our own. So just kind of take notice if you are parenting for the benefit of other people, or if you're trying to take on other people's expectations for how your kids should be behaving. Just kind of notice, keep everything in check, let them have their issues, and we'll just all have our own, right? We'll all just be basking in our own issues this Christmas dinner. Oh, and finally, one more thing before I switch questions is just respecting our kids' appetite. Again, it goes back to the first thing I said of managing expectations. But if our kid, like if you're, like I know with my family, food is like, I've got some amazing cooks in my family, yo. Like they're the cookers and the bakers, and I am the eater. And I like eating everything they make all day long. So lots of times when it gets time for the real meal, I'm not actually that hungry anymore because I've been enjoying all of the other things put out before me. So that may be the case with your kids too. And heck, it could just be a matter of cutting them some slack, right? Cutting them some slack, managing expectations, and just having fun, trying to relax as much as possible when it comes to food over the holidays. Okay, and our next question has to do with, those mealtime Jack-in-the-Box kids that like to leave the table early for one reason or another. And this question comes from Brianisha, and she asks, when a child finishes her meal, she seems to get full and sleepy. Should I wait to let them sleep, or should I let them sleep? And with this one, I think it's again a case of whose problem is it? Is it really a problem that your kid is sleepy and wants to take a nap? Is it the kid's problem, or is it our problem with our expectations of how Christmas dinner should be? Or are we taking on somebody else's ideas of how Christmas dinner should be? And this is different for everyone, of course, but I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to getting up and leaving the table. And if your kids are sleepy, like heck, gosh, like sleep is one of those things you do not realize how important it is and how much you need it until you become a parent. So if your kid is saying they're sleepy and they want to take a nap, or they're ready to like call it a night and are ready for tuck-ins, by all means, I am like 100% for that. 100%, a million percent. I know that's not even like a thing, but really, like sleep is sleep is sleep. And if your kids are willingly going to take a nap or take some time out for themselves, all the better. And then the other piece too, if they're wanting to leave the table for other reasons, maybe they got ants in their pants, they're having a hard time sitting still, it may be a good idea before the Christmas dinner, in advance, even a few weeks ahead of Christmas dinner, to start practicing having formal meals at home. If they're not used to sitting in their chair and sitting through a long meal, just to practice those skills, because it really is a skill, especially for our kids in the like 2 to 4 range, where being still is like, it goes against every single fiber of their being. It can be a real challenge. So practicing ahead of time is huge. And this actually ties into another question we got from Shamar, who asks, what should I do if my child has a hard time going to other people's homes and eating? And this is a really common issue as well. Our kids get comfortable in their homes, and sometimes even if it is a loved one's home, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking for them. So again, practicing the formal meal at home can go such a long way. Laying out the napkins and having the spread and practicing taking turns and practicing just staying at the table as a unit at home in a comfortable environment is just setting them up for success if they are a little bit nervous or they do have a hard time sitting through meals when they're in the public extended family setting. And the thing here too is to keep it light and keep it fun, not like it's some sort of like hardcore exercise that they have to get through. Just have fun with it, because right? Dining together is about being together and having fun. It's not about like drill sergeants and I have to eat this and I have to have this much of this and negotiating and nagging. Just try to keep it really light and really fun. And again, practice that ahead of time. And another thing too to practice, actually, to go along with your question, Shamara, is if there's any like, I don't want to say weird food, but different food your kids are going to be experiencing, if there's a special dish that you know someone has made, that has put so much love and energy and effort into this dish, and they would like your kids to try it, just kind of practice eating that ahead of time, if possible, just to give them a little bit of a heads up and a trial run at home in the comfort and safety and support of their own home. And in these cases where you know there is a lot being asked of your kids, if you're trying to keep the peace, right? You're trying to manage other people's expectations. You're also trying to keep your kids happy. Empathize with your kids and what they're going through, and also coach them and practice what it's like to say no, what it's like to say no thank you, how to be polite but still hold boundaries firm if they're feeling like they're being pushed into eating something or doing something that they don't want to do. And again, focusing on the love behind the effort. So even if your kids don't want to try something, coaching them into how to say no thank you, but then how to also express appreciation for the effort that went into it. So I'm all about focusing on the real underlying reason for the season, right? Just the love and belonging and sense of togetherness, and trying not to get lost in all of I don't want to say the fluff of the meals and the gifts and all that, because it's definitely not fluff, but I think sometimes I say we, but like I can definitely do this. You lose sight of the real reason for it and you get caught up in the details that in the grand scheme of things don't really matter. So I really hope that helps you guys. Just trying to manage your own expectations, trying to let other people have their own expectations and own shoulds without taking them on yourself. Practicing those family meals ahead of time if you know that your kids are going to have a hard time. And maybe just kind of lightening up a bit. Lightening up and not worrying so much about if your kid had so much turkey before they eat the marshmallow salad, or if they're having such a blast playing with their cousins that they're not really interested in the meal. Like, they're having fun, right? They're having fun. And maybe sometimes we just need to let them go play in the basement and build their rocket ships or whatever they're busy doing rather than starting a fight over food. And again, I'm thinking back again to Sunshine's question, staying firm when you need to stay firm, right? Because sometimes it's not as easy as, oh, whatever, it's Christmas, we'll just let them do whatever. Some of those boundaries are real and you do need to stay firm. So in those cases, just think of winning the cooperation and winning the support of your family members and relatives in maintaining this boundary rather than putting demands on them. It'll go a long way to keeping everybody happy, right? I think that's the goal. Everyone just wants to be happy at Christmas. So I hope that helps. I really hope that helps, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video.